I have. I'm not sure how long I can join you, but I'm here
Okay,
for
okay,
just a
great.
little bit.
Awesome.
And
Thank you so much, Arizona Rancher LaVoy Finicum, and also a um, foster parent, a recently foster parent. You've been a foster parent for 12 years. Do you want to tell us what happened?
well, kind of what seems to be happening is kind of, I guess, what you might call asymmetrical warfare. It seems like that they're putting pressure on a lot of people here from every angle where they might be able to put pressure on them. I'm not the only family that's kind of been targeted with the families, and so I've been a professional, what is called a therapeutic foster parent, and that's the highest level. We take the most troubled teenage boys and we try to bring them out of a detention center or some type of lockdown facility and try to reintegrate them into family life and into society. I've been doing that for a long time, and because I was up here, they the license agency, or they said it came right down from the governor's office, and they just walked right in, pulled the kids out, and took them. And so, yeah, that was unfortunate. It was very sad for the boys, but it's been a good thing over the years. I've really enjoyed working with these boys and trying to help them, and so I've been very appreciative of that opportunity. So,
And so you've had an opportunity to see boys grow up into men.
mm-hmm.
Troubled teens grow up into not troubled men.
Yes, that was definitely the goal. And so the ranch was such a great tool for me to help work with these boys, because most of them have lived a life of in front of electronics of one sort or another, Game Boys and iPads and phones, and so in our home we completely eliminated all electronics, and so then they'd have to get out and work, and we gave them a chore with a live animal, so they learned to take care of something that was living. So they learned to be responsible for something that depended upon them. And then when I'd go out and work with them side by side, they'd really respond. They loved their boys, and so they loved being active and camping and riding horses. And then when they were out there, those walls and those resistance begin to kind of fade away, and then they begin to attach. And at that moment, you can start teaching these boys, and you can see their lives at that point start to change. And so the ranch has been a great tool to help these troubled teens.
Well, I know it can't be easy. It's not easy when it's your own child who's defiant and troubled and things like that. But to have, strangers in your house and make them part of your family has got to be 24/7, nights, weekends, holidays.
Yep. Yeah, it is definitely, you have to have the right temperament for it. You got to have a natural love for boys and for youth, and want to try to help. And I actually feel like I was very fortunate in that my parents were very loving parents, and my dad took a lot of time with us, and so it came natural for me to just kind of do the same as the way I was raised, and the boys really responded to that. My dad took me hunting and camping and chasing cows, and as a boy I loved it, and I found that these other boys, that they're just boys, that they respond to this physical activity, this physical stimulus that is positive and appropriate. And so
well, I think someone wrote a book on the importance of that to men, and I think it was called Wild at Heart, and that
mm-hmm.
men need that experience. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that the Bundys, the ones that we know, are so well balanced.
Well, you have to do a couple things. You have to learn to work. You have to learn to go to bed. You have to learn to get up. Kind of some of the basic things of life. And again, for a child that's had no responsibilities or actually probably no structure in his life, to finally say, this animal, these chickens right here, they depend upon you for their life. They can't feed themselves. They can't turn the water on and water themselves. And so you have to, their lives are in your hands. And so when they begin to grasp that this is important to these, to do this, then they start learning responsibility of whether it's taking care of the horses or the dogs or the cat. I give each one the child something that's living that they need to be responsible for.
Well, I've seen animals have remarkable influences on therapeutic value to children. I was on the board at a petting zoo. I mentioned this the other day to you, and they brought
Mm-hmm.
children from this long-term care facility, and some of them were brought out on stretchers because they were fully catatonic. They hadn't moved, done anything. And just when they held some of these little animals up to them and put them next to them, those children started giggling. There wasn't
Yep.
a dry eye in the place. And I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
another friend who has MS, and she found out that if she rode a horse, and it was just, just around the paddock, I mean, nothing, strenuous or anything,
Mm-hmm.
that just an hour of that gave her a full day of being able to walk without a walker.
Well, that's amazing. That really is amazing. But it is. It's good for them. Be out and get some good clean air, some good clean dirt under their fingernails, and just do regular physical work. And so it's been a blessing to me. And the only reason I share this and let people know is because it's important for people to know what the government's capable of doing and what they do. And
exactly.
at certain levels, it's just intolerable what we've allowed a central power to begin to do to its citizens. And so that's the only reason why I share it.
LaVoy, so far the governor is denying any involvement.
Yes, and I read that in the article, and so somebody's either got the story straight or somebody's not telling the truth. Because when they came to my wife and said the CPS workers, I believe that's who it was, she said the CPS workers said, "We're so sorry," because we had a great relationship with them. We've worked with them for years and years, and so says it's come right down from the governor's office. And so either the lowly workers are lying or the governor's not being quite upright.
Yeah, what a surprise that would be. But in a way,
Right.
LaVoy, I can see their point. They really don't want you and Jeanette raising any more Ammons.
That's right. Let's not have anybody that carries a pocket constitution. Well, we can't have any of that type of thing.
No, that would be further disaster for us. Further disaster. There's some other things that you talked about this week, and I'd like to go over before I let you go. And one of them is that let me see, where did I put this? It was something about you're having a signing ceremony. Is it tomorrow? Is it last Friday? About grazing rights as a free man?
Yeah, it's Saturday, and that's actually where when you called, I was just driving back onto the compound. I've been on a road with a security detail. Yeah, we drove into Boise to pick up a rancher that flew all the way in from Mexico, and he's here to take the same stand that Clive and Bundy and myself did on national TV, and then we got some ranchers here in from Malheur County or Harney County. We have a family that's also going to do it, so it's a big deal. And so we actually just barely pulled in, and I told my wife and said, go and try to help find Ammon and Ryan and introduce them. And so it may not seem like a big deal. The world may not understand how big of a thing it is. But what's happening is when this rancher signs this and says, I now sign a declaration of emancipation from the federal government and cancel all contracts between me and the Forest Service and BLM, that's like crossing the Rubicon. You have crossed the river, and now you've laid everything on the line. You're risking everything. You're making a very bold stand. You say, I will no longer acknowledge you, federal government, and I will no longer pay your grazing fee. I'll acknowledge and uphold my county and my state. And so at that moment, he's making the same stand that Clive and Bundy made. And we promised him that
Go ahead. Because there's a big difference between grazing rights and grazing fees. Grazing fees have nothing to do with grazing rights. Grazing rights are not privileges. They are rights.
Yep. And when it's a fee, that means it's theirs, and they're leasing back to you what they consider to be theirs. And so it's very important that people understand that the grazing rights were established under natural law or common law before there's ever any BLM or Forest Service even in existence. All these things existed long before that.
Right, exactly. Even before, I know in Arizona, even before the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, People had grazing rights that stretched back to that transferred with that treaty.
Yeah.
So I know that that's true. So I'm gonna ask someone. I'm gonna let you go, LaVoy. But after I let folks ask you, we've got Renee Powers is here. Brandon Thornton, I think, is still on the line. Maybe, maybe not. I don't see his call here, but I know Ken Doss may have a question for you, and then we'll let you go. Anybody have a question they'd like to ask LaVoy?
Hey, Patricia, Patricia, real quick. Yes. We did an interview with LaVoy yesterday. I'm sure you remember. It's the Revolution Radio. Sherry was out there talking to him, and then we lost track. And I wanted to make sure that he has our numbers. So if they have anything they need to get out fast, we're right here. We have the extra studio and the extra everything to get everything going. So, and
that would be great. Let me Revolution Radio, and I want to make sure I got that number. Could you give that to me?
I'm going to
tell you what. Hawk? Why don't you type it into the chat for me, and I will text it over to LaVoy.
Exactly.
That will work really good.
Exactly, because I don't want to become public knowledge.
Okay, that's all. That's all good. Awesome. LaVoy, you have been such an inspiration to people, and that's why the Empire has struck back here. Do you folks plan to appeal this situation with the children?
We've my wife and I are just kind of I'm pondering that. We're thinking about if it would help highlight what the corruption of the government when they do things like this, then we might have maybe a duty or a responsibility to use every avenue we have to kind of bring these things to light. And so we're thinking about it. And what it would keep all the kids would keep all of that completely separate and private and stuff, and we could move forward without bringing any personal things in. And so it's very important. Those boys meant a lot to us, and so we want to keep them out of the limelight, and we will, and we can do that. And so, and the boys we had just before they left, they were tremendous kids. It definitely was a sad day when they called to let me know that they were no longer going to be a part of our family. But I was so proud of the growth that they'd made and the changes they'd made in their lives. I just have such high hope for this particular group that was currently in my home, that they're going to do well.
Yeah, well, so next time you hear the government talking about how they're preserving things for future generations, people can just think about this and what tremendous hypocrites they are. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, I think we've kind of gotten a little jaded when any politician or officer tells us something. We always seem to start taking more and more with a grain of salt. It kind of seems like it's kind of getting more and more difficult to believe sometimes.
So are you going to back off this a little bit? Take a lower profile?
Oh, with what I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
No, we're here at the Harney County Resource Center, and we're full steam ahead. We're committed to what we're doing. In fact, the CNN, when we heard that the FBI reached out to us and was trying to make contact with us last night, so yeah, they were calling us and reaching out to us, and they said, well, okay, so you kind of want to know, well, we're going to negotiate some type of truce and how is. I said, no, we like. It's important to have dialogue, but our course isn't changing. We're fixed, and just make sure that to understand that these buildings never go back to the feds; they go back to Harney County. So, no, we like conversation, we like dialogue, but we're not changing our stand.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny that Hammond lost the bet, because I know when the BLM had someone call Ryan before the standoff that he started playing good cop. So I'll be really interested to see if that FBI agent will show up out there and meet with you men face to face like a man would.
Well, I got their cameras still. I said, the ones I took down from the pole. I put out, I brought them here. You can come here, and I will kindly hand them over. I don't have any need for them. And I'm sure they're facial recognition ones. They're very high tech looking things. They look like they're very expensive, and so I got them in a basket right here. And so anytime you'd like them, I'll walk up to the front and hand them to you. But they haven't asked for them back.
Yeah, that was a pretty amazing. That was probably my favorite thing that happened all week was spotting that, you folks taking that down. I thought it was awesome. Awesome.
Well, they ran the boom trucks out there yesterday and pulled down the boxes. Because we left the boxes there with the open, just took the cameras out, and so then so we could see if they put them back in or anything like that. But they ran out there and actually took the whole boxes down. And yeah, that was kind of a fun day, actually.
Yeah, it looked pretty fun. Well, LaVoy, I'm going to let you go. I know you've got a lot to do. You've got those ranchers there that you've just brought in, picked up from Boise, coming in from New Mexico. So I'll go ahead and let you go here. Our best to you and Jeanette, and of course to everyone out there. And on behalf of Revolution Radio, thank you so much for your time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Oh, and thank you for all that you do. You guys are real heroes and a real support and strength to us. So God bless you for what you do. We appreciate it very much.
Okay, well, liberty and justice for all, LaVoy. Thank you for your time tonight.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.